He's not tall, but his dreams are sky high. Yuki Kawamura's relentless drive and a stellar 2024 Olympics performance caught NBA scouts' attention. Now, as one of the shortest players in the league, he joins the Memphis Grizzlies, following his hero, Yuta Tabuse. Can Kawamura defy expectations and leave his mark on the NBA? Let's dive in.
The Little Giant's Big Dream, NBA's shortest player. Yuki Kawamura was always the shortest boy in his Japanese hometown. At 5 feet 8 inches, people laughed when he said, "I want to play in the NBA." But Yuki practiced basketball every day after school, his small hands perfect for making quick passes. In high school, Yuki became famous for his magic eyes. He could pass the ball without looking. When he played against taller players, he used his speed like a ninja. At 19, he joined Japan's top league, but his real dream was across the ocean. Everything changed at the 2024 Paris Olympics. Facing France's 7 feet 3 inches giant Victor Wembanyama, Yuki felt like an ant. But he scored 29 points with brave three-point shots. Though Japan lost, NBA scouts noticed this tiny warrior. Now as the NBA's shortest player with Memphis Grizzlies, Yuki faces new challenges. He practices English with teammate Ja Morant, who teaches him dunking tricks, even if Yuki can't reach the hoop. Fans chant, "We want Yuki," when he sits on the bench waiting for his chance. Yuki remembers his hero Yuta Tabuse, the first Japanese NBA player. Every morning, he looks at his small hands and whispers, "Big dreams don't need tall players." His story teaches us that heart matters more than height.
Glossary. Scout responsible for discovering and evaluating potential professional players. Teammate, a member of the same team participating in a game. League, a competition between multiple teams. Hometown, the place where a person was born and grew up. 3-point shot, a way to score in basketball by shooting from beyond the 3-point line. Dunk, a move in basketball where a player jumps and slams the ball directly into the basket. Warrior, a metaphor for someone who fights in adversity. Magic eyes, Yuki Kawamura's ability to pass the ball without looking, referring to a unique basketball talent. Thinking, what is Yuki Kawamura's height? Why is this height considered a challenge for entering the NBA? What does Yuki Kawamura's magic eyes refer to? Which NBA team does Yuki Kawamura currently play for? Who is Yuki Kawamura's hero? Why?
The Little Giant's Big Dream, NBA's shortest player. Yuki Kawamura was always the shortest boy in his Japanese hometown. At 5 feet 8 inches, people laughed when he said, "I want to play in the NBA." But Yuki practiced basketball every day after school, his small hands perfect for making quick passes. In high school, Yuki became famous for his magic eyes. He could pass the ball without looking. When he played against taller players, he used his speed like a ninja. At 19, he joined Japan's top league, but his real dream was across the ocean. Everything changed at the 2024 Paris Olympics. Facing France's 7 feet 3 inches giant Victor Wembanyama, Yuki felt like an ant. But he scored 29 points with brave three-point shots. Though Japan lost, NBA scouts noticed this tiny warrior. Now as the NBA's shortest player with Memphis Grizzlies, Yuki faces new challenges. He practices English with teammate Ja Morant, who teaches him dunking tricks, even if Yuki can't reach the hoop. Fans chant, "We want Yuki," when he sits on the bench waiting for his chance. Yuki remembers his hero Yuta Tabuse, the first Japanese NBA player. Every morning, he looks at his small hands and whispers, "Big dreams don't need tall players." His story teaches us that heart matters more than height.
Okay, so today we're gonna dive into something pretty interesting.
Right.
It's about a basketball player, Yuki Kawamura,
Oh, yeah, I've heard of him.
and he's made it to the NBA, and it's kind of a remarkable story.
Yeah, definitely.
And what we're using as a source material is kind of interesting. It's actually like an English as a second language story.
Oh, wow.
But the story itself is so interesting, and it's really kind of inspiring. So
I'm interested to hear this.
yeah, so we're gonna kind of look at how did this guy Yuki Kawamura, he kind of overcame the odds to make it to the NBA.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting too is just the fact that it's one thing to play basketball and be good at it.
Yeah.
But to make it to the NBA, that's a whole other level. And he wasn't some 7-foot tall guy.
Right.
He was actually considered short even in his hometown in Japan.
That's right. Yeah, the story mentions that he was 5'8".
5'8". Yeah.
And I mean that's pretty short for just like a normal person,
Right.
let alone an NBA player.
Exactly. I mean, when you think about the NBA, you're thinking about these, giants running up and down the court. And,
Yeah.
and here's this guy who's, significantly shorter than most of the players he's going up against. And yet he's out there competing with them.
Yeah, he's not just competing though. He's thriving.
He's thriving, right?
So how does someone who's 5'8" even begin to hold their own, let alone excel in a league that's, all about, height and athleticism?
Well, the story talks about his magic eyes.
Right.
And that's really, I think, a key part of it.
So what are magic eyes? I mean, is that like some sort of superpower or something?
No, it's not like X-ray vision or anything.
Okay.
But it's this incredible court vision that he has. It's this ability to see the play develop before anyone else on the court can even process what's happening.
So he's like anticipating where the players are going to be.
Exactly. He's always one step ahead. He can see the passing lanes open up before they even exist for other players. And then he can deliver these pinpoint passes, through the tightest defenses.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, it's almost like, like a chess player or something.
It is. It's like he's playing three-dimensional chess out there while everyone else is playing checkers.
So he's got this incredible vision, but, was there like a specific moment in his career where he really showed the world what he was capable of?
I think the story really highlights his performance at the 2024 Paris Olympics.
Oh, yeah. Paris Olympics. That was a good one.
It wasn't just the fact that he scored 29 points. It was who he was scoring against.
Victor Wembanyama.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
Victor Wembanyama, this 7'3" French phenom.
The guy's huge.
He's huge. He's incredibly talented. And Kawamura just went right at him. He wasn't intimidated at all.
So he's like weaving through defenders, finding open teammates, hitting clutch shots.
He was unstoppable.
That must have been something to see.
Oh, it was electric. The whole crowd was on their feet.
And that's got to be the moment, where the NBA scouts really started taking notice.
For sure. I mean, how could they not?
So was he the first Japanese player to make it to the NBA?
No, actually, the story mentioned a player named Yuta Tabuse.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember him.
He made history back in 2004, becoming the first Japanese-born player to play in the NBA.
So Kawamura had like a role model, a trailblazer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think Tabuse's success paved the way for other Japanese players to dream big, to believe that it was possible for them to make it to the NBA.
So Kawamura gets drafted by the Grizzlies?
Yep, and the story talks about him learning English from Ja Morant.
Oh, wow. So he's like learning English and playing basketball at the same time.
That's right, and the story even mentions him trying to dunk.
Even though he can barely reach the rim.
Right, I mean, you gotta admire his persistence.
I love that detail.
Yeah.
It shows his dedication to the game,
It does, and it's also kind of relatable, We've all tried to do things that seem impossible.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's about that joy of pushing your limits.
And it seems like the fans are really responding to him. The story talks about them chanting, "We want Yuki,"
Yeah, he's become a fan favorite.
even with limited playing time.
He brings so much energy to the court, He's
Yeah.
just fun to watch.
He's proving that you don't need to be a giant to make a huge impact.
Exactly.
So what's the biggest takeaway from Kawamura's story?
I think it's a reminder that, limitations, especially physical ones, can be overcome
Yeah.
with enough passion and skill and just relentless hard work.
He turned his supposed weakness into a strength.
Exactly.
It's pretty inspiring stuff. So I'm curious, what other examples can you think of where people defied the odds and achieved greatness?
There are so many to choose from.
I know, right? It makes you realize that anything is possible if you set your mind to it.
It really does.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening, everybody.